So, sitting on the front edge of your chair, have the feet hip width and the feet directly planted under the knees. Pull the butterfly back, and then take hold of the back of the chair to sit up really tall. Spread the chest open. And this week we've been talking a lot about the outer banks. So from the outer hips all the way up to the armpits, and then beyond the armpits to the corners of the shoulders, really getting tall and bringing those lines parallel with each other. So then from here, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, reach your arms up, grow taller and taller. And as you reach your arms up, bring your mind to the outer banks and use the extension of the arms to lift the rib cage away from the pelvis and get longer and longer through both sides of the trunk. Interlock your fingers, press the palms forward, then swing the arms up, Urdhva Badangulyasana, upward bound fingers. And here too, bring your attention to the outer banks, ground down through the outer hips, and then lift up through the side walls of the rib cage and lengthening to the side waist, and get taller and taller. Extend out to the sides. Change the interlock. Other finger on top. Press the palms forward. Inhale, Urdhva Badangulyasana again, reaching up. So these poses you can do throughout the day. You can do every day, several times a day. Really great for the spine, shoulders, wrists. Prevents carpal tunnel. Exhale, extend out to the side. Take hold of the sides of the chair. Lean forward. Lean forward in order to get the spinal extension. So lift the sternum from bottom to top and lengthen equally right and left sides of the trunk. Spread across the collarbones. Still here, there should be a feeling of wideness across the low back, the buttock flesh moving down so that the low back is protected, and instead the opening is mostly in the thoracic spine. And come on up. Scoot back a little bit on your chair. Feet pointing forward. And once again, extend forward. Make sure there's no compression in the abdomen. Rolling the shoulders back, so getting a little bit more intense shoulder opening here. You can even try taking the hands higher up the chair, and that will intensify, so you can control the intensity, since I'm not there with you. And so you control the intensity of how high the hands should go. The further back your hips go, the higher up your hands go, then the more intense the spinal extension. And then come on up. So now, look what I did. I took a strap and I attached it to the top of my chair. So basically I took a strap, a loop, and then I put it over the back, and then I pulled it, the knot through, the buckle through, you see? So now it's attached to the back of the chair. So you don't have to unbuckle it. You don't have to unbuckle it. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, do you have your yoga chair? It's faster if you just loop it over. So here, I'm placing the loop over the top and then pulling the buckle through. See? Pull the buckle through. Yes, you got it. And then have it at the center. All right? Now you may or may not need the strap, but it's there if you need it. Bring your strap over your right shoulder. Take your left hand behind and find the back bar of the chair with your left hand. Back bar of the chair with your left hand. And maybe climb your hand up a little bit, up the back bar of the chair, and lift the chest. Okay, now center the lift, especially the left side of the chest, so that the banks, the outer banks stay even. Then reach up with the right arm. Bend the right arm and find the strap. And pull on the strap in order to get the extension It's actually a flexion position of the right arm, of your right arm, and then lift up through the right elbow and lean slightly to your right so that the left side doesn't get shortened. And keep your head straight. The head wants to move toward the arm, but keep the head neutral. Have the work be instead in that shoulder joint, the right shoulder joint, as you walk your hand down. All right. Maybe from here you could come into classic Gomukhasana. So the fingers clasping behind your back. If not, don't worry about it. Just keep your hand on the chair and the strap, and then release. Okay. Other side. This is also a great pose to do every day. Take your right arm out to the side, take it behind, and find, so I'm finding the back bar of the chair here. Yeah, but then lift up through the armpit chest so that you're not tilting. And then maybe you can walk your hand higher up. Don't force it. If I force it, then the shoulder can roll forward. So instead, keeping the chest lifted equally on both sides, I take the hand up, but not at the expense of the shoulder, and not at the expense of that outer bank of the trunk. That has to stay really, really tall. Reach up through the left arm, all the way up, then bend and find the strap. And give a good pull with the strap. When you pull with the strap, you can reach your left elbow up, 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 alongside the ear, and get longer and longer through the top arm. And if you want, you can try to go for classic Gomukhasana. You can let go of the chair, let go of the strap so that the hands come into this position behind the back, clasping the fingers, or just hold on to the chair. That's fine also. Okay, release. All right. Now, my teacher, Lois Steinberg, says do that 3 times, 1 minute hold each side. We won't take the time right now, but just have that in the back of your mind so that when you come back to do this pose, you will remember that. Now, let's take Adho Mukha Svanasana now. So, the chair against the support. I'm using the couch here. You could use a wall. And you could also have support for your head. Take your hands toward the back of the chair, and then step your feet back. The feet behind the hips. Lifting the elbows up. Press the thighs back. Lengthen through the side banks of the trunk. Get the right and left sides equally long. Notice that you have to work evenly through the legs as well in order to get the length of the trunk. You have to draw down from the outer hips to the outer heels, pressing through the soles of the feet and then taking the inner thighs back. Inner thighs back. And then as you press the thighs back, it elongate more and more to the sides of the trunk. Pull the spine from back to front. Get longer through the side banks of the trunk, and even through the side banks of the trunk. All right. And then step forward, and let's take Ardha Uttanasana here. Turn the bolster sideways. Step forward, feet hip width, and then come forward. Just feet hip width this time. Prasarana, not Prasarana, but Uttanasana. Yes. And then extend the trunk forward. Use enough height so that there's no strain and there's space for the abdomen. If you're pregnant, this is a really wonderful pose. It creates kind of like a hammock for the baby, creates space for the baby, the growing uterus. But make sure that you're lengthening equally through the right and left sides of the trunk so that you're not compromising the low back. The low back should stay broad, legs firm. See that you're lengthening equally through the right and left outer banks of the trunk, and that you're lengthening equally from the outer hips to the outer heels. Inner thighs back in order to get the groins back, which is a prerequisite for getting the spine forward. Inhale, come on up. Slumba. Well, actually, we're not going to do Slumba Purvottanasana yet. Let's come back to the seat of the chair and do a few more seated poses. So I suggest having a blanket on the chair now, like this. Okay, a thick folded blanket. Thick folded blanket on the seat of the chair. So let's start with kind of a virasana. So sitting on the right edge of the chair, take the right foot back like this. All right? And then, but see that the hips are level. See that the trunk is level. You can hold on to the chair like I'm doing in order to keep the trunk level. Come a little bit more onto the chair. Come more to the front edge. Come more to the front edge and then make sure that you're fully supported on the chair. And so now reach the left leg back. Reach the left shin back like this. Getting really tall and long through the left leg. All right. Now you could even take hold of the ankle like this and reach the knee down. So this is to lengthen out the front thigh, the groin, the psoas. Sometimes that gets tight during pregnancy because of the added weight of the uterus. So then reach the knee down, but not to arch the back when you do it, but have the movement be in the front thigh. Okay, and then release the leg, reach it back one more time. Reach it back without changing the pelvis. Of course, you could also make this pose maybe a little bit more comfortable by putting the foot on a blanket. That's also fine, so that it can slide. Okay, try the other side. I'll turn around. All right. But first I'll start out front. So now bend the left leg. Keep the hips level. Hold on to the chair behind you. Lengthen down through that knee. And then try taking the foot back a little bit. Just a little bit. If I go too much, then I go into a back bend shape. I'm not trying to do that. Instead, just trying to get long through that front thigh, long through that front groin. Make sure you're not straining your knee at all. The knee should stay neutral through all of this. The foot pointing straight back. Push down into your hands to lift up equally through the right and left outer banks of the trunk. And then bring the knee back. You could take this variation, holding onto the knee, reaching the knee down and back. And I need to come a little bit more onto the chair. Down and back, keeping the trunk even. This is my tight side. You can see how difficult it is for me to get the knee to point straight down. I have to really concentrate and be patient. Okay, do it one more time. So, bending the right leg, lengthening through the front thigh. So I'm holding the top of the foot and reach back, reach back. Yeah, but keep the hips level and the trunk level. Now let go of the foot, place it on the blanket or the floor, and then slide it back. Yeah. See that the hips are still facing forward. Okay, Tadasana hips. Okay, and release. Second side. Holding on to the left knee. left ankle, left foot, square off the hips. You might need to move the right foot slightly to the right in order to square the hips off. And then reach down with the knee, lengthen to the front thigh, and then lengthen up through the outer banks, right and left outer banks. Then release the foot, and then slide it back. I'm also trying to keep the knee directly in line with the hip, so not out to the side, but straight down, and then reach it back, lengthening equally through both sides, especially the left side of the trunk. Okay, and release. Marichyasana 1. So now with the blanket pushed back toward the back of the chair. And I'm sitting kind of back and the feet wide this time. All right? And now take your right foot up like this. And if it's difficult to do, if you feel the buttock lifting, then you can put another blanket or sit on a block. All right? So the toes pointing slightly out, and then push the elbow into the knee. Twist to your left. Twist to your left, and you can take your left arm to the top of the chair. Stay even on lifting both outer banks, especially the right side. Lift up. And then turn the left shoulder. Turn the left shoulder back. Soft and deep in the right groin, long through both sides of the trunk. And turning the rib cage. Get the thoracic spine to turn. Often the thoracic spine gets tight. So get that upper back to turn more and more. And release. That's Marichyasana 1. This is the kind of the prenatal version, but it's good for all of us. And then the other foot up. All right. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, turn. Bring your elbow to the inside of the knee. And from the depth of the groin, the left buttock lengthening downward. Then lengthen up to the sides of the trunk, and then turn the hips are stable because of the position of the arms and legs. But now turn the rib cage. Can you turn the rib cage? Can you turn the upper back and the thoracic spine? Bring your right shoulder down and the left side of the chest up. Yeah, you see how the left outer bank wants to shrink? Lift up through the left side so that the spine stays even. Good. And then release. Let's do that one more time. So another way that it can be done is with this leg straight. So right leg bent, left leg straight. You see? And if that's difficult to do, like I said, you can sit on another blanket or a block. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn to the left. So this is a little bit maybe more like Upavishta Marichyasana 1. Pressing the elbow, lengthen up to the sides of the trunk. Turn. Extend through the straight leg. Lift up evenly through the right and left sides. Turn the upper back. Turn the shoulders. And you can either look over your left shoulder or look forward in the opposite direction if you have any neck pain. Okay, release. Second side. One leg bent, one leg straight, out at an angle. And then lift up and bring your elbow to the inside of the knee. Inhale, exhale, turn. Turn from the stability of the hips and the legs. So you're turning the rib cage. The abdomen's not going to turn very much because of the position of the legs. But the rib cage, you can challenge the rib cage to turn more and move the spine from back to front. Remember the outer banks and the striving to keep the outer banks even. So kind of the boundaries even as you rotate. And the head can either look over the back shoulder or look toward the front, depending on the condition of your neck and shoulders. And release. All right. So now from here, let's take a few minutes in Pranayama Purvottanasana. So if you have two chairs, use two chairs. And I can use two chairs on the couch like this. So the bolster goes on the chairs like this. And then a blanket for the head. Now I have to raise up the bolster a little bit because it's not exactly the same height as the couch. I'm going to raise up the bolster and then have a blanket here. So if you have two chairs, you would put them side by side. And then lay the bolster across vertically. Now, this might be a little bit low for me, so I'm going to add some more height. I'm going to add another blanket here to build it up a little bit higher. All right, so I'm kind of sitting on the bolster, and then I slide down until just like maybe my sacrum is on the support, and then I lie back, and then extend the legs forward. So the buttocks are off the support, but the top of the sacrum is on the support, and I'm in a supported back bend shape here. All right. Now, it's also possible to have your feet at the wall. If you feel like you need that stability, that will help. If you have your feet pressing into the wall, that helps to lift the spine. See that the tailbone is moving toward the heels. Gripping the quadriceps, roll the thighs in, and now bring your mind to the outer banks of the trunk. Let that be really even. Extend your arms overhead. Take your arms straight if you have space, and reach through the arms in order to get longer through the right and left sides of the trunk. As you extend your arms over, see that you're pressing into the inner line of the foot and rolling the inner thighs back, thighs firm. Now, hold the elbows. Hold the elbows, reach the elbows overhead as you roll your thighs in and lengthen evenly through right and left sides of the trunk. Not to let the buttocks drop, but reach the buttocks toward the heels, tailbone toward the heels. Change the cross of the arms. Reach through the elbows, get longer and longer, lifting through the sides of the trunk. You might notice that there's a section of the trunk that feels a little resistant. It might be somewhere in the rib cage. It might be somewhere in the shoulders. So use the arms extending overhead to iron out those places and lengthen those places that might feel a little reluctant. Okay, and then bring the hands to rest on your abdomen. Walk your feet in. Push into the chair or the bolster and sit up. All right. We're going to actually do a little bit of seated pranayama from the chair, okay? So it's pranayama week 5. And so what I suggest is the bolster. Let's have the bolster on the seat of the chair like so. And then sit on the bolster. Make sure the buttock flesh is pulled back. And then take hold of the back of the chair. Spread the chest open. Let's keep the hands back here so that you can make sure that the chest is very much lifted. Now I'm going to keep my glasses on so I can watch you, but you don't need your glasses for this. Now bow your head down. Bow your head down and nod yes 3 times so that you know that you're not holding your head up. Okay? But then now the chest lifts toward the chin. See that, make sure that you're even through the side banks. Not to push your abdomen forward, not to push your bottom ribs forward, but to stay wide across the back waist, buttock flesh lengthening down as the spine moves from back to front. Okay, now from here, exhale completely. And inhale up the side banks of the chest, up the side banks of the trunk, so that the side walls get taller and taller, lifting the breath all the way up to the corners of the shoulders. And then exhale right down the midline, as if there's like a straw or a tube down the midline. Exhale down the midline. Take a resting breath or 2. I'm going to keep my head up now and watch. Exhale completely. Keep your head down. And then inhale up the side banks. Up the side banks, all the way up. All the way up to the corners of the shoulders. Getting wide, getting tall, and then exhale down the midline. As if you're exhaling through a straw. And then resting breath or 2. And do 3 more on your own. Exhale completely. Keep your head down. Inhale, up. Feel how the abdomen moves up and back to support the inhale, all the way up to the top of the chest, all the way up to the collarbones, outer corners of the collarbones. And then exhaling down the midline. Okay, at your own pace, continue. See that the feet, make sure the feet are planted beneath you so that the hips are stable. From that stability of the hips, lengthen through the side banks. It's like the banks of the river, having that strong boundary of the banks of the river, so that the prana can travel all the way up. And then as you exhale, seep the exhale out, not to let it gush, but seep the exhale out through that midline. The abdomen softens at the very end of the exhale, so you can take 1 or 2 resting breaths. It's not a gripping of the abdomen, but it is a lifting of the abdomen, which helps to control the breath. But no hardening, no gripping in the abdomen. You should feel like a softness come to the abdomen as you pull it up and back to support the breath. Once you're finished, you can bring your hands to your lap and bring your head back up, eyes closed. And just sit quietly for a moment. So now, let's take Shavasana for a few minutes. So you can have the legs on the chair like this. You can put a blanket or a mat on the floor. So then I will officially end our meeting, but you can stay in Shavasana as long as you want. So this will be Shavasana. All right, you can have support for your head, whatever support you wish. And of course, if you're pregnant and you start to feel any nausea or dizziness in this pose, then you should roll to your side instead. But if you don't have any discomfort, you can stay here for a few minutes. Okay. Nice work. Good to see you. I will end. You can stay as long as you want. Take good care.